Hey everyone, welcome to my autumn inspirations list. I love thinking about what's inspiring me as the new season approaches, and autumn is my favorite season, so that's exciting. I actually have a list of 6 things for this, but within each category there's a few other things that I can talk about. So in autumn I have 2 areas of focus. On one hand, I get really excited about witchy stuff and Halloween. Then on the other hand, I also start to get paranoid about preparing for Christmas because I have a small craft business and that is the time of year when I make the most consistent income. So I really do rely on sales around this time of year and leading up to December. It's sometimes hard for me to stay in the moment. I'm trying to be a bit more mindful this season to really enjoy what the season has to offer, decorate and do stuff. I figured I would start with my autumn inspirations, and then at the end of the video I can talk a little bit about how I'm planning on getting prepped for the holiday season, because I can't pretend like I'm not trying to start thinking about that and start making things for all of that. To get into my autumn inspirations, I'm going to start with the topic I just mentioned, which is witchy stuff, witchcraft and magic. Within this theme, tarot is a big inspiration of mine, and I've talked about that a lot on my channel. I have a lot of projects inspired by tarot. This time of year, I definitely lean more heavily into this interest of mine, where if I've been neglecting my tarot practice, I start pulling cards again, doing drawing prompts based off of the tarot, really thinking about the symbolism within the cards, maybe even leaning more towards the darker cards that are in the deck. Also, I'm really excited to make some seasonal decor, and I have an idea for a YouTube video in that regard. I don't usually decorate for seasons since having my own apartments. My mom has always been a really big seasonal decorator. I think it makes the space feel really nice and it's sweet to do that. So I do want to make some Halloween decorations or just pumpkin themed decorations. I also want to, once the holidays come around, I do want to do a lot of Christmas decorations, but that's not really autumn. I'll get to that. The notes that I made are all over the place. So within the category of witchcraft, well, I'm actually going to share 2 categories. Witchcraft is one of them, and then Surrealism is another inspiration of mine for this list, but I feel like they have to do with one another because my way of practicing magic is by using symbolism in my art pieces. They go hand in hand. So I'm really inspired by surreal art as well as like poetry and writing that's somewhat surreal. I just finished short stories by Leonora Carrington that were really inspiring, and I got another book of hers that I'm going to start reading. But I also think about like poetry by Patti Smith, like her music, also paintings like Renee Magritte and Frida Kahlo and Remedios Varos, also Leonora Carrington. Even though I have them in separate categories, witchcraft and surrealism for me blend together. I'm thinking about trying to incorporate dream work into my art and use this imagery more in drawings and paintings and embroidery. So I'm definitely in the realm of symbolism right now. I feel like I have been playing around with more like abstract and pattern design inspired stuff, and this time of year I kind of move back into my safe space of symbolism. I also generally want my work to be a bit darker and humorous, and I do really appreciate artwork that has a bit of a wink in it. So I don't exactly know how I'm going to do that, but it's something that I'm thinking about. Something about this time of year, it feels right to delve into darker subject matter, shadow work. I have a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio rising, so I tend to get into this stuff any time of the year, but especially around autumn. So reconnecting to my spiritual and magical practice might also be having a space in our house where I can set up an altar, like a manifestation altar that has imagery of things that I want to bring into my life or focus on. And then I was thinking if I set up an altar space, I could also use that as subject matter for painting still lifes or drawing still lifes. So because I just mentioned still life, I'll go into that. My third inspiration for autumn is still life paintings, and I kind of mean like traditional art, which is a bit unusual for me to really be gravitating towards. I don't relate to being traditional at all, but I'm feeling really inspired by that, and part of it might be all of the painting classes that I had been taking last year, and also I'm taking one this year, and I had a lot of fun doing my still life project from last week's video, and I want to keep painting still lifes and drawing still lifes and collecting strange objects to put into still lifes, also figuring out a way to incorporate surrealism into still life paintings. I always love the theme of the forest in the autumn. That's my next category. Forests are inspiring to me, but especially the idea of a dark forest or a forest at night. Woodland inspired pieces, but definitely something a little more mysterious as well. Mystery is something that I always want to try to capture in the art that I make, but especially around this time of year, it feels really relevant. The next inspiration that I have is for fabrics. I'm really inspired by, it's going to be hard for me to say, but moire. I think it's said moire. Also, just in general, I'm inspired by luxurious fabrics. Like this time of year just really makes me excited to sew with like velvets and corduroys, and I'd love to get my hands on some silk shantung if I can find that secondhand. Brocades, tapestry fabrics, rich colors and textures. In the context of my work, I feel like it's most relevant to sewing, but it would also be really fun to have a moire tablecloth or have like really cool tablecloths, because my last category is holidays. Like the idea of holidays is inspiring me, and this will lead a little bit into my preparation for the holiday season, as in like Christmas. Autumn holidays is also inspiring me and motivating me quite a bit. One of the things I really want to do is to host a dinner party before the autumn is over. I want to have like a witches Halloween Friendsgiving sort of a thing, and I want to heavily decorate for this and make really cool tablescapes, very witchy inspired decor. All of my topics really blend into each other. Decorating for the holidays would be great to also host a party with all of my friends. I usually do something with my mom and sister for Thanksgiving. That's a bit less of an important holiday to us because we're all vegans. Friendsgiving seems like the move to make because I haven't had a Friendsgiving in ages. I feel like my sister and I might have hosted one years ago, like before the pandemic. It's time to do another one, and now that I have a large enough space to host other people, I really want to do it in my place. And also because, you know, I'm a vegan, a lot of my friends are vegetarians or vegans. I like that I'd have control over the food that I make, the food that would be served. It feels stressful to organize it, but I really want to make it happen. I'm just kind of like excited about themes, and I'm looking at a lot of old Martha Stewart Living imagery from her magazines from like the 90s. Also, Halloween and the Renaissance Fair happen in autumn, and I don't know if we're gonna have enough time to go to the Renaissance Fair this year or to prepare for it and be ready in time before it ends, because it kind of ends early this year, at least the New York Renaissance Fair. For the past 3 years, I feel like we've ran out of time and haven't gone, but my sister and I used to get really hyped about it and make intense costumes. If that doesn't happen, I really want to make Halloween happen and do something fun that night. And I have a couple ideas for costumes, which I will keep secret because maybe I'll make videos that can kind of correlate to preparing for those costumes. Even if I don't end up going to the Renaissance Fair, I'm still inspired by Renaissance fashion and fabrications and that energy. And maybe if I don't make this year happen, I can definitely make next year happen. We both just have really crazy Septembers. I have something going on like every week, at multiple times each week. It's kind of stressful, honestly. Like, I'm not used to being this social and busy in 1 month. It seems like everything always happens at once. And that's pretty much it for my autumn inspirations. It's not that crazy. I'm kind of in a place where I'm sitting with a lot of the inspirations that are always there for me. Honestly, I'm spending a lot of time going through my notebooks and revisiting ideas that I haven't been able to carry out because they've just been sitting in notebooks. Like a lot of my symbolism drawings and stuff I'd love to turn into paintings or more formal drawings. It's nothing too groundbreaking. It's a lot of themes that I've been excited about for the past like decade. As far as preparing for the Christmas and holiday season goes, it's so stressful already. I have some ideas for ornaments and I did already start making some. I'm thinking like paper mache ornaments. I'm really inspired by vintage holiday decor, and I saw some imagery on Pinterest of Christmas trees, like faux Christmas trees that were decorated with all kinds of paper ornaments, and I thought they looked really cute, so I'd love to do something like that in my own way, and paper mache came to mind. If they come out really nice, I could sell them in my shop, but otherwise I'll just make a YouTube video for it, for the process. I'm thinking I might try to do a maker's market or a pop-up if I can find one that has signups available before Christmas. I tend to find out about stuff later, like when it's too late and they already are full of vendors. I only hear about it more so from the perspective of a shopper. I'd love to find something that I can participate in. Hopefully that's not too expensive. I know the makers markets over in Asbury Park where I was living for a while, they're crazy expensive, and that's why I stopped doing them. But even just like talking to a local shop and doing a pop-up, like that might be an option before Christmas time. We'll see though, because it's not one of my stronger skills to coordinate that sort of stuff. I tend to just like keep my head down and make stuff, but I would like to put the intention out that I can make that happen. I really love the glamour of Christmas, even though I'm not the biggest Christmas person. But this year I would like to embrace it a bit more. And as I said, I'd like to decorate our apartment for Christmas. I'd also love to host a Yule party around Christmas time, which is more so the pagan holiday. A holiday party would be so much fun and a great excuse to also decorate. So I guess like parties are just on my brain, and getting friends over here. I want to be really intentional about the traditions that work for me, and that's where I'm at. And as far as other things for my shop that I'm preparing for Christmas, besides like little embroideries, I'm starting to make some jewelry again. I have, for example, little earrings. I used to make these a lot. This is an especially avant-garde beaded flower loopy thing. I also make them where they look more like flowers. So I want to make more beaded earrings, which I might work on today. I want to make my sun catchers again. I'd love to make Christmas stockings at the minimum for me and Lewis and our cats, but also it'd be fun to have those in my shop, which can be customizable maybe if I get my act together, and maybe some like crochet stuff, scarves and things like that. I'm trying to think of little things that make great gifts, which can be kind of tricky if you're used to making larger pieces. I don't want to get too ahead of myself thinking about the Christmas time because there's still so much time to enjoy autumn. I'm definitely excited for the witchy season, and I have lots of fun videos that are inspired by fall that I can't wait to make. I hope you like this video. It's kind of quick because I do have a really crazy week this week, so I didn't want to spend too much time editing, but I love autumn so much and I can't wait to share with you some other creative ideas for the season. I hope you're doing well out there, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!